You have a great problem. You have so many kids. There's like 100 kids that are coming to your club every week, but you don't have that many leaders to break them down into small groups to ensure that you're going through the format the way we've described Kid Story, like doing the retell or asking questions so that the kids can personally get involved in those discussions and in those activities. What are you going to do? Well, I've got some suggestions here today for you here on Kid Story Quick Tips. Now it's time to answer the questions, the head, the heart, and the hand questions. But you've got this large group of kids. How can everybody be engaged and involved when you've got a large group, but only a few leaders? Well, one suggestion would be is you're standing in the center and you get groups of kids of like 8 to 10 around you. Put the leaders that you already have in a group, but then maybe it's like teenagers, maybe it's moms that you haven't necessarily designated as official leaders, but they can just be there to help monitor and assist you as you're leading from the center. Now, what kind of things can you do though to help kids engage in the answering of the questions? Well, one thing might be is that you have a dice. Now, you can roll the dice and whatever question number it lands on, well, you count over that many kids and you have a designated question for number 5. It might be, what did you like about the story? That child answers, and then you roll the dice again. It comes up with a 2. You move over 2 places, and maybe the question for that one might be like, what did you learn about Jesus in our story today? So you have 6 different questions, and whichever one it lands on, then wherever the dice lands, that's the kid that gets to answer that particular question. Now it could be, let's say that instead of moving around that many people, is you number off the children from the very beginning, from 1 to 6. You roll the dice and it lands on a 1. Now, whoever is the number 1, maybe you have several number 1s. And the number 1 question might be, is what did you like about the story? Or if you were in the story, who would you be and how would you respond? What would you be feeling like? So on and so forth. So a die can be really helpful when you have lots of kids and you're trying to get them into small groups. Now, another way with these small groups might be that, well, maybe you have a ball and you're tossing the ball back and forth. Maybe you don't have music, but you're going tingo, tingo, tango. So every time you're saying tingo, 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 the ball's being tossed around or it's being passed from one to another. When you say tango, who now has the ball has to answer whatever question you toss out to the group. Maybe you have a bunch of questions that are on pieces of paper and they're in a little box. And each kid has to draw a question out of the box and they get to answer that particular question. You might do it where, you know what, they don't like the question that they have and they have time to swap their question for another kid's question if they're willing to swap with them. Just different ways, different activities, different opportunities to engage kids in the answering of questions, which is critical within the Kid Story format. You want every kid to have an opportunity to answer head, heart, and hand questions. What now are you going to do with what you've learned today? I know in my group, I have a group of like 5 to 12-year-olds. We're in a small church. And at the very end, I have everybody answer the hand question. We go around. Sometimes we'll pass an object when the kids are ready to answer. Then they get past the object, whatever it might be, and they get to respond to, this is what I feel God is wanting me to do now with what I've learned today. And I have every kid share because I feel that that's the important discipleship piece that I want to follow up with, did you obey God? What happened? How did God help you? What was the response? What's your response? How did you act? How did you respond? All these other questions that are forming discipleship and not just a one-time teaching of a Bible story. So there hopefully are some helps for you to gauge everybody, even though you have a large group, in answering the questions based on your Bible story. Thanks for joining us here on this week's Kid Story Quick Tips.